Welcome to the Screen's weekly review rundown where we dive into the latest releases. Whether you're streaming from the comfort of your couch or heading to the theatres, we've got you covered with sharp takes, standout performances, and to tell you whether it's worth your screen time. First up, we have the star of the list, Kesari 2. Kesari Chapter 2 lands with a burst of patriotic passion, cinematic, charged and rooted in one of the most painful episodes of India's freedom struggle, the Jallianwala Bagh massacre of 1919. Directed with a clear eye on grandeur, the film takes us back more than a century to when the massacre shook the conscience of the world and the British Empire. Akshay Kumar steps into the role of Sir C. Sankaran Nair, the man who initially walks into the courtroom to defend Michael O'Dyer, only to undergo a crisis of conscience that shifts his mission entirely. Based on the book, The Case That Shook the Empire, the film frames itself as a courtroom drama where truth must win, no matter how long it takes or how powerful the opposition is. And as expected, Akshay Kumar commands the spotlight. His portrayal of Nair is consistent with the brand of patriotism that we've been seeing him bring to the screen over the last few years. Brilliant speeches, bold stare-downs with the colonial elite, and of course, a few unapologetic outbursts aimed directly at the empire. Opposite him, R. Madhavan plays the formidable half-British prosecutor Neville McKinley. Their courtroom battles form the emotional and dramatic spine of the film, filled with soaring lines and high-stakes confrontations. But while the film is sincere in its intent, it does not fully escape predictability. There are no real surprises. This film is designed to evoke pride, not provoke too much thought. And while it's effective on that front, some choices feel a little bit too safe. Regina Cassandra brings grace to a small role as Nair's wife, and Ananya Pandey tries hard as a lawyer, though her modern body language clashes with the film's period setting. The British cast do their job, sneering, judging, and being appropriately cruel, but they're mostly there to feed Akshay's fire. Still, the film does offer some very surprising moments. A pointed mention of Hindu-Muslim unity as the trigger for British fear and a clear reference to the importance of free speech, these moments resonate especially in today's climate. Ultimately, Kesari 2 is a film that plays to the crowd. It's emotional, loud, and carefully calibrated for applause. A story of resistance told with the chest-thumping pride and a reminder that some wounds in history are still fresh and still worth remembering. Moving on to Log Out. What happens when your entire life is inside your phone and one day it's just gone? The new film Log Out takes a hard look at our collective digital dependence. Directed with a sharp lens on today's social media culture, it follows Pratyush Dua, better known by his online persona Pratman, played by Babil Khan. He is an influencer chasing that coveted 10 million follower milestone. But then things spiral quite quickly when his phone, his lifeline, disappears. Suddenly, the one thing that defines his relevance and identity is just no longer within reach. At first, there's a glimmer of hope. A mysterious fan claims to have found it. And then, you're expecting something dark now, aren't you? Well, as you'd expect, that's just the beginning of a much darker unraveling. What follows from here is a psychological thriller faced with modern paranoia. What if someone had access to everything inside your phone? The secrets, the mistakes, the real you. Babil Khan shoulders most of the film solo and does this with surprising nuance. His performance walks a tightrope between satire and vulnerability, capturing the desperation of someone whose entire self-worth has been built on views, likes, and algorithm hits. We get glimpses of commentary on influencer hypocrisy, like Pratman promoting vegetarian brands while secretly enjoying chicken wings off camera. There are echoes of other recent films that have explored the dangers of hyperconnectivity, like Control and Adolescence. But Log Out carves its own niche by leaning into the claustrophobia of online life, where numbers, followers, and curated personas matter more than reality. The film does lose some steam in its final stretch though, especially when it leans into an improbable reveal about the identity of the voice behind the chaos. But even with that, Log Out manages to hold a mirror to the way that we live today, constantly online, desperately performing, and perhaps a little too attached to the devices that define us. So if you've ever felt the panic of misplacing your phone, or measured your self-worth by digital validation, this one might hit closer to home than you'd expect. Now, shifting from the world of digital dread to something far more primal, psychological horror rooted in real trauma. Cough is not your typical jump scare fueled horror show. It's eerie, unsettling, and surprisingly grounded in the very real anxieties that women carry through life. Set in a women's working hostel, the series is soaked in atmosphere, with dread creeping in not from the typical horror film shadows but from the past trauma, silenced pain, and collective fear. At the center is Madhu, played with quiet intensity by Monica Panwar, a small-town girl who enters this decaying, oppressive hostel, unknowingly triggering the horrors that lie in wait. Around her, a group of other women live with their own secrets and wounds, some fresh, some still festering. The show's strength lies in its characters, whether it's the stoic warden, the single mother cop caught in a battle with her own son, or the mysterious Hakim played by Rajat Kapoor. Each of these come with layers, and not all of them are very comforting. Yes, there are ghosts. Yes, there are supernatural happenings, mixer grinders attacking, spirits haunting dark corners. But Cough goes deeper than just horror for horror's sake. It explores how patriarchy, violence, and silence shape the way women experience fear, and how in the face of it, they fight back. And that is what makes it unique. The direction smartly steers away from glamorizing violence. When it references real-world horrors, including one particularly triggering scene invoking a brutal incident involving an iron rod, it does so with intention, not for shock value. It's not subtle, but it's pointed. That said, not everything clicks. The Hakim subplot, while ambitious, often feels like it belongs in another show. Rajat Kapoor, brilliant in Monsoon Wedding, doesn't quite land here, and some characters like the psychiatrist played by Shilpa Shukla float at the edges of the plot without a real anchor. Still, when Cough focuses on its women, flawed, fierce, and deeply human, it resonates. It's less about what haunts them and more about how they confront it. And that's what makes the series truly stand out. The credit for these reviews goes to Shubhra Gupta from Screen. Ending the list with Sinners, which is a slow-burning, soul-stirring horror film that plays like a fever dream stitched together with racism, religion, jazz, and the jagged remnants of America's haunted past. Directed by Ryan Coogler and starring Michael B. Jordan in a dual role, Sinners is set in Mississippi 1932, right in the deep Jim Crow South. And while it's technically a horror film, its true terrors are the ones woven into history: systemic racism, racial violence, and generational trauma. Jump scares and paranormal aren't enough anymore. The horrors got to go deeper. This film does it right. Jordan plays twin brothers, Smoke and Stack, two prodigals returning home after making it big as minor gangsters in Al Capone's Chicago underworld. Their arrival, loud and deliberate, threatens to crack open the brittle quiet of a segregated cotton town that runs on black labor and white supremacy. The film is thick with symbolism. The sawmill turned junk joint becomes a battleground, a space where the sacred and the profane collide. There's music, there's love, there's a pulse of freedom. But then come the monsters, real and metaphorical. A snarling, smooth-talking villain played with eerie charm by Jack O'Connell leads a group that represents more than just the supernatural menace. They are avatars of oppression in every form. Coogler uses horror not just for cheap scares but to amplify America's darkest truths. And Jordan, effortlessly charismatic, gives us the performances that are both sides of the same sacred coin. And Jordan, effortlessly charismatic, gives us two performances that are both sides of the same scarred coin. Smoke and Stack are streetwise and soulful, grieving yet grounded. Men who want to rewrite their fate but can't quite escape its script. The horror elements, they're ambitious, sometimes fantastical, and I mean, yes, occasionally overindulgent. But the real weight of Sinners lies in its atmosphere. The cotton field stretching endlessly, the blues guitar cutting through a humid night, and the tension of a black community always one breath away from chaos. A standout moment, Delroy Lindo's quiet reflection as he watches imprisoned black men toil under the southern sun, a reminder of the slavery that never really ended, just evolved. The film's critique is layered. Religion, power, morality, everything is questioned. Who gets to be called a sinner? Who decides what's holy? And when even churches' verses can be weaponized, where do the truly righteous stand? Sinners is not a perfect film. It's heavy, sometimes messy, and asks a lot of its audience. But it's bold, poetic, and deeply felt. And in a genre increasingly used to challenge our present through the lens of the past, Sinners does not just haunt, it resonates. The credit for this review goes to Shalini Langar. Now, we'd love to know, what did you think of the films? Let us know in the comments. Until next time, this is Nia from Screen signing off.